Hi.
Hi.
The project I've been working on has been around the concept of the illusion of separation that I noticed, and it's the belief that we are like apart from nature, and the belief in the stories that we live. And so over the course of the project, I've been trying to experience like these illusions and just observing what happens. So I did a recent experience where I tried to hitchhike to the sea, and this was I felt it encompassed both the Charles and Amanda side of things, because it was a non-extractive approach, I guess. So things that helped with the preparations for this trip were a previous attempt that I did with Louise and Xander to try get to the sea by bike. We also had no phones, but as a group, some of us had money, so then that did change things, I think. So I wanted to try again and see what happened if I went by myself. Also, I've been learning Dutch, which helps with connecting with people when you're hitchhiking. Also, I've been a big part of my project has been practicing sleeping in uncomfortable ways, both mentally uncomfortable and physically uncomfortable. So like just lying on without a bed, without anything underneath, naked, and also with a camera on you. So it's like your head is like, I don't want to sleep, I'm really uncomfortable, and then you're also physically uncomfortable. But I've got to a point where I can now sleep the whole night. So that's cool. And I also learnt a bit of foraging. I have a friend who owns a permaculture garden called Leo, and he did a little thing with me where he showed me what I could eat and stuff. And did you know you can eat the stuff that's, the sticky weed that sticks to you? You can eat that. And you can eat the leaves of brambles, and rocket grows everywhere. Arugula. It grows everywhere. I didn't realise. Also, I've just been generally practicing like navigation without maps or phones, which is ultimately just asking everyone where you're going. So the things I brought with me, I had no phone, no money, and no map, and also no destination. And I had several days free: umbrella, notebook, pen, camera, my house keys. You have to do a lot of packing for just in case. So I did check the weather, and I knew it was going to rain the whole time. So I bought extra clothes, obviously, for if it was to get wet, and also if it was to get cold. The night before I left, I was doing another thing at the permaculture garden where we were sleeping outside, but we were underneath just a ceiling thing, but we were outside. And I'd been considering whether I needed a sleeping bag for this hitchhike. And it was there that I realised I really do need a sleeping bag, because I had tried that thing you suggested, right, just having hands, and that was so cold. So a sleeping bag felt a necessary for a just in case as well, because it's not worth getting too cold. And then I bought oats and peanut butter, which I would eat with just water. And I had some really tiny cutlery in a little bowl, a water bottle, which I lost, toothpaste tablets, deodorant, backpack, shoes, which I was wearing, sun cream, which I forgot to use, and now I'm peeling everywhere, a tarp, which Louise gave me, and that basically meant if it was going to rain, I would have something I could put on top of me that's waterproof, and string, gloves, warm things, stuff like that. And actually, I think I packed quite well. An umbrella, that was a really important thing. I think I packed quite well. I didn't have anything that I didn't need, I don't think, and So yes, I had my bag packed, and I left, and I walked. It was funny. I just put my bag on and I walked out my house, and then I had to ask a neighbour, do you know which direction Tilburg's in? Because I knew I was going the direction of Tilburg, and then I knew I had a name of going from petrol stations, because that's often you can talk to the people in cars and things. So I went to the nearest petrol station near me, and it was raining loads. I actually considered not doing it that morning, because I was like, it's silly to do it in the rain and stuff. It's quite funny, but obviously I went anyway. And I stood for ages I was like really shy, like just standing in the corner of the petrol station, kind of like smiling. And I had this idea that I'd only go in cars that had women in at first because I mean it felt rational, but then in the end I actually met a really nice girl who had a big van, and she gave me some tips about hitchhiking because she'd done it before, but she was going in a different direction. But she basically said, is it fine to travel with men? And I also realised it was probably just the idea is much more scary than it actually is, as I realised with everything on this trip. But yeah, it took me ages and ages to get a lift. Shell kicked me out of the petrol station because they don't allow hitchhikers. And then I was standing in the rain, and then after hours this one guy picked me up, and he was really nice, and he was called Cass, and he was a chef, and he was lovely, and he drove me to Tilburg, and he dropped me off at a petrol station there. And yeah, it was then I realised that everyone in the car is just the same people that are on the street, and it's fine. I felt very safe, and it was really lovely just to hear about his life. He told me everything. I know quite a lot about him now, but yeah, I felt very safe. And then I was in Tilburg, again waiting for ages. I was very surprised at how long it took. Oh, I can show you my sign. I was very surprised at how long it took to get picked up. Also, the guy before, because I didn't have a map or any idea where I was going, I just knew I wanted to get to the sea. And so the people who I trusted in the car, I said, I'm just trying to get to the sea. But if I didn't trust them as much, I would be very definite with my location that I was heading to. But a very nice man told me about Middelburg, and then I need to get the A58. And so then the next time it was easier to get a lift because I had more confidence and I would like do the whole thing. And then Jans was fixing his car for an hour and saw me waiting, and he felt sorry for me. So he wasn't even going to Breda, but he drove me there anyway. He was nice, but he drove quite fast, and you know. And then he dropped me. I was on the highway then at this point, and at a petrol station, and it just was. I don't know. There was so many trucks and stuff, and none of the trucks wanted to give me a lift, and I was just like chilling out. I had some of the oats in my little bowl, and then it was here where a guy. I was like sitting outside the petrol station, and then a guy walked in front and was like, "Oh, I think I can take you there." And then he came out again, and then like I got in his car and stuff, and then I had this feeling like I've had a slight feeling of this feels a bit strange, because he happened to be going exactly where I was going, and I asked why he was going there, and he said, "I'm just going for a walk around," and it was like 2 hours away. But he also only spoke Dutch, so it was language barrier, but I could understand him. And then he just was being inappropriate, and as we drove off, and I suddenly was very uncomfortable, and I just immediately was like, "Oh, I feel really sick. Oh, I feel so sick. Can we just go to the next stop, please?" And you have to kind of stay calm and not show that you're afraid of them. But it was okay. But that really, because he could have, he had no reason to stop the car when I was trying to get out. He could have just messed with me, and that was a bit weird. But I really learned, like, if ever I have the slightest feeling, don't even bother trying to trust people if it doesn't immediately happen. So, that wasn't that good. So then I ended up in this weird place off the highway. There's a nice awkward picture of me, but because it was off the highway in a really weird town, and then for ages I was waiting in this spot. I got kicked out of Shell again, and I just kept getting knocked down, and that was really defeating to feel like no one was picking me up, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to sleep in this weird city because I knew I had to find somewhere to sleep. So I felt really hopeless, and but then magic happened. This lovely girl called Gaby came by just when I was about to give up, and she rolled down her window, and she let me get in her car, and then I told her what I was doing, and she completely insisted that I didn't sleep outside that night, and that because I was explaining how I feel comfortable doing it and stuff, and I don't want to sleep anywhere else. But she said, I'm just gonna I'm going to pay for a hotel room for you, and and if you don't want to sleep in it, don't, but at least you have somewhere safe to stay if you're sleeping in the woods, and you can always go back, because it was also raining and stuff. And then, so, yeah, I was in a hotel. And that was, like, I felt so weird, like, I was a failure, like, this is a fraud, like, what the fuck, why am I in a hotel? Yeah, that was a really strange thing to process. Very kind of her, obviously, but she like paid for breakfast for me, and she said, because she knew I wanted to get to the beach, so she said at 11 the next day I'll meet her outside, and she'll drive me to the beach. So yeah, I didn't have any clock, so that was stressful, really stressful, trying to work out the time, because yeah, it was really on my mind that I wouldn't meet her in time, and yeah, I really felt like I was cheating, and I had no idea what's happened, and it was a very strange adjustment from being hopeless on the side of the road thinking I'm sleeping on a bench to I'm in a hotel room with a double bed. So yeah, and it was very strange for like other people feeling responsible for the decisions I have made, and I actively decided I'm not bringing money, and then she felt morally obliged to spend that money on me. So yeah, it's still conflicting. I don't know, but I just had to kind of find peace with it, and just that was just where I was at the time. Navigating yourself away from the current systems, yet still somehow entirely reliant on their systems, and that was completely what I realised this whole time, because I was entirely reliant on people telling me, using their phones to get a map and like tell me which road to get and things, and getting in their cars, and you know, it was strange. I didn't pack a toothbrush because I was going to chew on a stick instead, and now I'm sitting in a hotel room. Turns out you can use a towel as a toothbrush, and it works just as well, so save your money, just use fabric. I didn't bring a watch, and now that TV is my clock. I also used the church in the centre as a clock, and then I realised the camera I had a timer on, so yeah. And I thought I could use this opportunity to test my setup of my sleeping arrangement in the hotel, and so I did this. But I went to sleep. I worked out, because the air conditioner was 2 hours out, which I worked out from the time on the church. I went to sleep at 8, and then I woke up and it was 10, like 10 the next day. And I was stressing because I said I'd meet her and things. And then I put my clothes on and I ran downstairs to ask what time it was. And he was like, yeah, it's 10. And then I was like, what time was breakfast? And he was like, it's from 7 to 9:30. And I was like, oh no, I missed it. And he was like, it's still night. And I was like, oh my God. It's like, it was the most, just like my brain went, zoom. And because it was still light outside, and it was horrible. Yeah, so then I went back to the room, and I didn't get back in the sleeping bag. I got into bed because I was like, fuck that. That was disorientating. And then I had a lovely hotel breakfast, and I took loads of food. I snuck it in my bag, and because I wanted to like give it back to her, because she was going to spend the day with me at the beach, and I wanted to like provide her for her. So that's fun. And then I was doing loads of drawings of fish for her as well, because I was trying to find ways to give back to this lovely person who had done this very kind thing for me. And then in the end she couldn't hang out with me at the beach, but she drove me there, and I got to the beach, and it's a beach called no, I've forgotten it. I have it written down somewhere, but a lovely beach, and I just spent the day there. I got there quite early, I was just saying. 12. And I just walked along the coast, and I didn't have my shoes on, and it was just a wonderful time. And there was this funny sign, and it says it was like about how it's an extremely dangerous sandbank and how don't be near it, but it was okay. So yes, and I found some elderflower, and I was eating that, and just honestly just walking all day and singing a lot, and really just completely happy because there was nothing I had to do, and I knew I would sleep on the beach, and I knew that was fine, and I was just completely without goal at this point. And there's a little video of me singing if you want to watch it. You know that we are living in a material world, and I am a Yeah, the weirdest songs are coming into my head. I think when you walk, your brain finds the beat of a song and then it gets into your head. It was cool. Oh, no, not again. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and I was thinking about what traces have I left, because I hadn't... it was only kind of conversations that I'd had with people so far, so that was nice. Yeah, I can read this. I've spent the day walking along the beach. I found a high-up spot, a little sandy hill surrounded by plants. When I lie down, the plants block most of the wind. I think this is where I'll sleep tonight. Looks like it might rain a bit. I think the tide is going out. I think my scalp is burnt. It's not very warm. The sky is getting greyer. In front of me is the sea, and behind me is the green. Below me is the sand, and above me is the cloud. I'm so happy, calm, and there's nowhere I need to be. And that was my notes. And I didn't feel alone at all. That's what I wrote. And that was my little spot. I was there for about, I got there, what time did I get there? Let's see. I got was 6, no, but I got there earlier. I think it was maybe about 4 or 5 that I got to this spot, and I just stayed there the whole 4 to 5, for like 12 hours. It was just lovely, just watching the beach change and the people go and the sun. I wrote here, I'm very rarely in a position where I see the sun move that much. I never stay still that long, so that was nice. Yeah, and I was just... but there was still... It wasn't completely blissful because I was kind of dozing and waking up, and then at points I would wake up and think, like, what am I doing? Why? I'd stress, and I'd think, oh, what if I get stung by a weird... I kept getting thorns in me, and I was like, what if these are poisonous, and what if I can't call anyone, and I, silly things of worrying. And then I had to keep letting go of that. But I also kept doing a thing where I was telling the story of myself doing it. So I was like, I'm sleeping on the beach, and I was like saying it, and then it's like, get rid of that, stop thinking about the fact it's a story, and that was good as well. Yeah, that was the bit behind me, and then this was when I was going to sleep, and the sunset was just mental. And I wrote here, I'm thinking about how this space is here every single day, and this is the only day I've ever encountered it. Everything is already existing, and I'm just moving around it all. Yeah. And I slept here, and it was amazing. But I was before, like at this point when the sun was setting, I was like, I felt really, really good. And then as it was getting darker, there was like big clouds coming, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? And I was like, I got in the sleeping bag and I wrapped myself in the tarp, and like I was getting scared now because there was the idea of the dark was scary. And I was thinking, like, what if someone comes finds me? Because I know it's actually, you can also get fined for this. You can also get fined for pissing outside, which I didn't realise, so I had to watch that one as well. But yeah, I slept here, and the night was fine. I woke up and the moon was above me, and it was way more comfortable than on the floor in my room, so it was wonderful, and I wasn't afraid of the dark. I sat up in the night and I saw the beach and the sea, and no fear whatsoever. It's just the idea is way scarier than actually doing it. But it was really nice to think. I haven't had enough time to form it's very raw material still. I haven't had long enough to think about it, but it was nice to compare the night in the hotel full of stress about time and how you can't really navigate yourself in, because the hotel is made so you have your phone, you have your clock, you have your stuff, and when you don't have that stuff, it doesn't work. It's a stressful time. And then when you're on the beach, you don't have to have that stuff, and then it works, and it's no stress. So I was way more comfortable on the beach. And I woke up at 5:43 apparently, and it was I packed my stuff up because I knew I needed to get to Rotterdam. I didn't have to write that one down because I went on a walk, and I met as I was walking away from the beach, I was like, in the morning it was amazing because no one was on the beach and there were no footprints, and I just had all my stuff on my back and I was running without my shoes on, and it was just like, it was really, really nice. And then I was, as I walked into kind of the town, it took a while, but I just walked past this woman on a little morning walk, and I was like, do you know which way is Rotterdam? I'm trying to get to the road near it. And she was just like, oh, I'm going to Rotterdam at 7, you can come with me. So yeah, I went to her house, we had a cup of tea, and then she drove me to Rotterdam, which was lovely. She was really cool. She was a principal of a school for deaf children, and I have a number, and when I can speak Dutch, I'm going to go and work there for her, so that's fun. But this was me on the beach. And then, yeah, she's the one who drove me to Rotterdam. And then in Rotterdam, because this was my signage that I only had so far, because someone gave me in a petrol station. And I did this as pre-preparation when I was waiting in the hotel for my friend. And then I found this on the floor in Rotterdam. And this was perfect because it meant I had a lot of options for signage. Yeah. When you're like on the side of the road, waiting for hours and feeling like your sign isn't right, it was good because it meant I could like just have Breda, just have A16, just have Utrecht. Yeah, so that was really good to have. And I was standing in a really crap place in Rotterdam, a really crap petrol station, and then Mustafa, the one-star hotel owner, he gave me a lift to a different petrol station in Rotterdam, which then it got things moving a bit, and someone bought me a coffee, but I couldn't drink it because it was very milky. But but then I found Rocket on the side of the road in Rotterdam, and I was so excited. I've never found Rocket on the side of the road. That was fun eating that. And then, yes, I was Mustafa, one-star hotel owner, he took me to the petrol station. And then from here, a nice couple gave me advice to get I think it was it must have been the A6, it's the Breda, to go to Breda. Because then from Breda, I needed to switch to A85 to get to Eindhoven. And then a really nice man called Bart stopped me. And he was like this clinical trial scientist. He was like traveling all over the world and stuff, and he didn't usually pick up hitchhikers, but it was nice. And he was lovely. He drove me to Breda. Breda. And then from there I got to another place, and then I was at a petrol station, and then a rich racist Dutch guy drove me in his van from Breda to Eindhoven. We spoke a lot, he was nice, but racist, avoided conflicting discussions, and he drove while he was on his phone, and that wasn't that good. But it was good that I'm learning to drive, because I knew what to do if in the event of stuff. But he literally drove me to my street, my house street, and then I got home. This is before and after. I was just a bit more red. And so I got in 8 cars. But I spoke to so many people, and I have a little thing I can read. Let me see. I had a note. This is my notebook from it, which I think you can read if you'd like at some point. This is like after reflections. Where is it? Notes. Okay. Here, okay. I'm thinking about safety and how in some cases we, as in me and the person in the car, we both experienced a mutual fear or questioned whether we should feel afraid or not. I wasn't afraid though, only once was I afraid in the present moment. The rest was the fear of the potential stories that I could imagine. But when someone would stop and open their window and smile, that was just lovely. Now I'm back in my routine life, shall we say. I realise that I can implement these kind of shifting behaviours into my everyday, which is what I've been doing throughout this project, I think. Like sleeping outside or on the floor or being naked in public or hitchhiking when I need to get somewhere or having no phone or having no money, having no plans and having no clock. It's a fallacy that this is separate and not doable in my normal life. It's all just decisions and choosing not to define by a story but for what it is and to trust the action. I don't need to do anything ever. I don't need to feel the busyness or the stress. It's a choice. How do I want to spend my time? I wasn't precious with my luggage on my trip. I didn't worry about anything being stolen. because it didn't have any value. Things I assign value to are my keys and my wallet and my phone. And why are those three things so desperately important? Because I own them and it's mine and it's personalised to my life choices. Sand in both my eyelids, I felt concerned over my physical health. I felt I didn't have control if something went wrong, like I got poisoned by a plant or something, or I got too cold or was delusional. I remember a few times thinking I wouldn't know if I was delusional right now, because I had no reference against other people. No one knew other versions of myself, and I felt like I did, but the tricks minds play on themselves are very real. I was really pleased to find Rocket next to the road in Rotterdam. I had no idea it would be in places like that. It was nice to intercept people's daily routines. I imagine someone intercepting my routines like that, and I think it's exciting. A glitch in the routine can maybe crack open the setness of the practice. Gabby, who was the girl who really helped me, said she set for the first time in months after helping me. Her actions made me think a lot about what money means. She worked and gave her time, and she put that value into helping me. That is so unbelievably kind, and when money still is time, which for her it was, because she didn't seem rich like some other people I met. It's a very loving action to give that to someone. A nice way to interact with people was to ask the time, a brief moment of chatting in Dutch. Everyone was friendly. I would have loved for the people worrying about my safety at home to have seen how happy I was in the moments. And that was something that was difficult because my family and like friends and everyone were more worried than, very worried, and it's something I have to work on more, the conversations I have before I leave and do this type of thing, because it puts a lot of, it's like I'm fine doing it, but for them it's very scary. So that's something I'm going to work on, but I think that's everything. Oh, that was a spoon I got from the hotel.
So, then I think we're through. I hope you enjoyed this day. We meet again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Feedback, please also do so. Tomorrow is really judgment day, so and nothing. I mean, eventually.
We are going to start with Henry tonight.
About maybe. It's just at 1 we meet, and then we can discuss everything that we need. No, there's one mail that will for sure come tonight. So it won't be too late, and it's a very little task. It's just something of 15 minutes that you will have to do for tomorrow.
Why so mysterious?
Well, why not? Okay, no, we will ask you to.
No, maybe that's not. No, this is very little.
No, meglio non dirlo.
No, don't say really.
You can do it spontaneous, and it's really nothing dangerous.
Yeah, it's nothing dangerous. And if you feel danger, talk to Sophie. And he knows how to manage it.
So you tell us tomorrow?
You
tell us tomorrow?
Tomorrow at 1,
No, I mean.
there is feedback. Okay, tomorrow at 1 there is feedback. Tonight, let's say not later than 9 o'clock.